This is the second in a series of this Alliance Network get-together summit. So first of all, honored to have you here, honored to have you spend your afternoon with us brainstorming on this topic, which we think is a pretty interesting topic. Mayfield is a Series A investor, which means we invest at the beginning of a new thesis. And this is a new thesis opportunity that for me speaks to something I've been passionate about for a long time, which is the benefit of the network effect of alliances and strategic marketing with alliances and partnerships. Many years ago, when I first started my career, I was in a business development role at IBM, and I tell you the effort of building a relationship between SAP and IBM, I nearly got myself fired. And then my next relationship, interestingly, was a relationship between IBM and Oracle, another opportunity. That was tough. But success breeded success as we built relationships and the network between these two relationships. And actually, Larry Ellison offered me a job, and I ended up working at Oracle for a number of years. And fast forward to today, I'm now running business development for our portfolio here at Mayfield. So as the venture world has evolved to adding more than just dollars to our value add. We add value in the form of go-to-market support. So I strategically try to help our portfolio companies reach their first early adoption customers. So as a Series A investor, a lot of times these companies are quite young, don't have a lot of market traction yet. So I use my strategic alliances brain to help connect the dots. So this networking opportunity that we're bringing here today is one of those, which is sharing ideas in a thoughtful way with you, gathering your practitioner point of view feedback into a self-serving to us, self-serving to you sort of relationship. So one of the things that I think we learned out of the last event, so the last event was in August, right? And we did a roundtable discussion, and I remember at the end of the meeting, geez, does anybody want to continue this discussion? And everybody's hands went up, and it spoke volumes to me that the topic of, geez, these alliance efforts and trying to automate some of the process around the demand side of all these relationships that we try to masterfully bring together, from kickoff to execution to reporting to the revenue team to actually creating the results that we wanted, is a muck shop. I mean, it's just really hard work. And anybody who's been in the effort of strategic alliances, channels, and relationship management for any length of time knows how hard it is to create consistency of governance, consistency of execution. And I'm sure anybody who's been at it a while has a few scars, I know I do, on my back of, okay, so that relationship, remember the press releases, are we close to goal? Like, still struggling here. Can't quite get everybody on the bus to work against the goal. So anyway, at the last meeting we had in August, we went around the room and I think captured a lot of great insight from the peer group. I think we captured some of that as feedback to the group as well. It's been imparted into some of the language that WorkSpan is using as part of their platform. I know Mayank and Amit have a great lineup of content for you today, so I don't want to steal from them. I do want to, though, thank you for being here. When we initially invested in WorkSpan, the broad idea that there's a network effect happening broadly across partnerships and partner alliances, but only if enabled through some sort of automation. As we look at what are the telltale signals of successful companies, it's those who can create this catalytic sort of network effect are the ones that will survive. Those that can accelerate that in a way that's different than their competition. So we're all competing for mind share, but can you do it in a way that automates the process and takes the manual steps and turns those into best practices at scale? So that's what turned us on, I think, about WorkSpan. We were a Series A investor back last year. Naveen Shada, who is the managing partner here at Mayfield, is on the board with Mayank. And I spent a lot of time with the team trying to make sure we can bring the right sort of value add to the equation. So with that, I'll stop. Again, thank you. If anybody would like to connect with me separately or whatever, I'll be here through the rest of the afternoon. But let me turn it over to Mayank to introduce you to the rest of the agenda. So,
I wanted to tee off the afternoon with a few thought-creating slides. and then we'll go into the sessions that we have planned. A lot of this afternoon is about sharing ideas that we have lived with as part of our own experiences, and also exchanging best practices that we have observed in various roles that we do in the market. Amit and we personally led several alliances in our previous roles before starting WorkSpan. I was the co-founder and CEO of Aster Data Systems. We made big data databases. Aster Data is now part of Teradata. And at Teradata, I led the go-to-market effort of the big data portfolio of Teradata. There is an alliance manager who is responsible for managing the relationship with his counterpart in the other company. And often they spend a lot of time coordinating with each other so that they can understand who's doing what, when, and where, so that the balls don't get dropped and the right kind of initiatives can take shape, right? And the alliance manager's job is very, very hard. It's very, very hard because they are representing their entire company to the other side. So they often have to track who's doing what, when, and where across the entire breadth of their own company. And this ends up often becoming a spreadsheet like this, which is actual one of our, it's a screenshot from one of our actual customer spreadsheets. So they actually live in these kinds of operationalizing tools so that they can track who's doing what, when, and where. And then these spreadsheets have to be reconciled with their counterpart's spreadsheet on a weekly basis so that we can understand whether what we had promised to do actually happened or did not happen, right? And having something like this tracking the relationship across two big companies, then it becomes really hard to do something beyond the relationship management, beyond the alliance manager. Like how would an alliance manager report up the alliance hierarchy to the VP of alliances to say what is the status of this relationship? How much revenue can we forecast, how much revenue is predictable, how much revenue has been booked as of this date in the middle of the year. All these kinds of reporting challenges start appearing. Participation challenges start appearing because we promise to do something together, we have a joint solution or we have a joint campaign. How many of my field people know that such a thing is in motion? And how many of the field people at my partner know that such a program is in motion? Often these programs don't succeed because people are just not aware that these options are available, and they're not aware because often these initiatives and activity information is locked up in emails or spreadsheets somewhere. So how do we operationalize it so that participation can happen on my side of the border and your side of the border in a really scalable, repeatable manner over and over again, so that we can understand what is working and what is not working. So we came to this status quo point of view with two insights. Our first insight is, of course, we need to get automation into alliances. Sales has benefited from automation through the Salesforce automation mechanisms. Marketing has benefited from automation in the last 10-15 years. It's high time now for alliances to be automated. But there's a newness here. Alliances need automation, but more than just automation, alliances need shared automation, so that the overhead of reconciling my state of record with your state of record can be eliminated. Like my spreadsheet has my state of record, your spreadsheet has your state of record. A lot of time is spent on a weekly basis just reconciling these spreadsheets to say, what is the real status on across the board. So if all of this reconciliation could be eliminated, if instead of having separate automation systems, if two partners could come together and create a shared system of record, a shared automation platform, where data could flow from one company as well as the data could flow in from the other company, and the software would do the task of reconciling, creating a joint calendar, creating a joint distribution list, creating a joint pipeline that can be managed and reported on without needing manual intervention from both sides. So this concept of shared automation we have found is very powerful. This is something we want to seed in today's session, and hopefully we'll talk about it in later sessions. But once we have a shared automation system going, our second thesis is that alliances are so unique, they just don't need an automation platform that is unique to their own company. The thought process that I have my portal and you have my portal and we'll do automation around my portal and you'll do automation around your portal. I think that portal based thesis has to go away, because what portals introduce are fragmentation. A fragmentation of joint activities. Part of the truth is in my portal, part of the truth is in your portal. Instead of having the world full of portals that every company runs, imagine a world where every company participates in a network. You are participating in a network, your partners are also participating in the same network, your partners are also on the same network, and you can look around in the network and run and be able to run a joint process, a joint automation system, a joint business process with any other company on the network. So that way, our thesis is that alliances, instead of running a portion of your partner network on your own portal, it would be a lot more valuable if there was a single network out there. Every company could participate in that network and then work with any other company that exists on the network to run joint business processes and achieve distribution the way they want to achieve. So with shared automation and shared network, a lot of alliance automation problems get solved without any manual intervention. It gives an amazing benefits and feedback to the alliance practitioners, the alliance managers, and the VPs of alliances, so that they can scale their activities very, very elegantly, irrespective of which partner they are working with. So around this thesis, we built a really nice product and have really interesting case studies to talk about. So I want to invite Amit to talk about what kind of things we have been doing on the WorkSpan platform and talk about some customer case studies as well.
Awesome, thank you, Mayank. A quick introduction of myself. My name is Amit. I'm founder and chief customer officer here at WorkSpan. Prior to WorkSpan, I was at SAP for 30 years. I led the marketing function for platform applications and databases there. Last big success was taking HANA to market with an ecosystem of partners. It was not only SAP that did it, I think to challenge Oracle, IBM, and Microsoft at the same time in databases. Right? The alliance is well, it's healthy. But how well? Is it predictable? Is it reliable? Is there an accurate number to it? They can't say. I think one of the first value props that we want to do is fix this problem around knowing where you are with respect to one alliance or a group of alliances or the whole partner program put together. And that's our vision and ambition. And when you scratch the surface a little bit and said, what if we got all the data to this person? What is missing that's not getting this information? And we realize it's back to process. You don't have the data because we didn't reliably put in the process in place to collect that data, to measure that data, and to even measure the teams appropriately. So the other two problems then is, how do we get away from these spreadsheet help? How do we get to a place where there's a reliable way in which joint opportunities are shared? We all know deal registration is broken for a reason. There's no trust. We haul it over the fence, and there's no trust in the relationship once it goes there. And the only way to really find what is going on is to pull the deal and say, hey, I didn't get an update, so maybe you're not working on it. But imagine a new world where you're actually jointly working with each other. And that way a real-time status update is part of the process, where as part of the process you're also collecting what contributions are coming from partners so that you can actually measure their contribution. It's not the last guy you had beer with, it's really what value was added on that deal by a specific partner in the right time, and so on and so forth. You need to not only report, have a process, and then have a way in which that process scales. And we all have worked for large companies. The idea that it's one individual who manages a company like, let's say, SAP or Intel or Huawei or HP is absurd. It's actually it's the company is 60,000 people. It's all across all regions and all different business entities, whether they're business divisions or industries and so on and so forth. So the Mayank's idea around participation is equally huge. So imagine if you had a common set of process that you could scale to your company's organization and the partner's organization, and then have everybody follow that process so that data can come in on your joint sales opportunities with your partners. That's magic. And that's the hard work that this platform will do. So as a result, it's our distinct pleasure to announce this WorkSpan joint sales application. This is here and ready and available. This is the only place today where you can work with your partners, create a sales plan, and on that sales plan, nominate business opportunities together and have a shared view of that data. Right? And not only you can have that shared view of data, you can also on this platform keep certain data private to you that you're not yet ready to share. So there are some really unique innovations that we've done in access control strategy over a network, so that you share what you're ready to share with a partner and you don't share what you're not ready to share. And as a result, both sides are literally on the same page with the opportunity. There's no kind of looking up data. There's no pulling spreadsheets. This is the reconciled spreadsheet, and it's one shared view of the information. We believe that this is the right way in which you can run your alliance calls, for example. You can run down a weekly set of opportunities you're tracking very, very quickly. The second problem that WorkSpan has systematically solved as an alliance automation problem is this thing around joint marketing. Now, when you think of sales, sales can only succeed if there are joint leads. And joint leads need to be jointly prosecuted across two companies to coordinate what the right message is and what's the right forum and medium and channel in which this message is given. But if you look back, most companies are still struggling with understanding how the partner ROI on campaigns is going, how the fund utilization on that campaign is done. And again, reporting is just the outcome. If you scratch back and say, why is this not happening? You come back to process. Companies haven't put in place a process where partnership on both sides can scale to propose campaigns together, partake in funds. Literally, what's the Kickstarter for the enterprise? Right? If two companies have decided to spend X million together to create a market around big data or IoT or cloud, both companies want to scale this thing. There's money available, but guess what? Today, MDF funds are utilized only to 60% extent. 40% is actually returned back to the CFO. Imagine what a waste that is. And at the very same time, we know that CMOs are struggling for money. We know that marketeers are full of crazy ideas that they want to go execute. And here's a ready and willing partner, but there's no awareness around it. So participation tends to be a very, very big problem in this. All the edges tell us that all marketing innovation is in region. Latin America will think uniquely around soccer, whereas US will think around baseball games. But those ideas, those campaigns, those touch points with customers are locally held. But guess where the budgets are? Far away in the headquarters with the alliances. And that's the problem in participation. So imagine a process where we solve that problem. And that's what the WorkSpan joint marketing application does. Multiple companies on the same platform, knowing at the same time where the money is spent and what's going on. And we have a number of customers who are already using this to great effect. And they know at any given point in time what the ROI on their investment is. And we have a point of view about this, that we believe that joint marketing campaigns are more productive than your direct marketing campaigns for two very simple reasons. The numerator, you have twice the audience or at least 3 times the audience to go after, because one company can bring its own audience, the other company can as well. So the reach multiplies. And the other fantastic thing is because you're partaking on the cost, which is the denominator, that is shared cost, right? So one company can fund the build side, the other can scale uniquely across the world. So these campaigns tend to have a much higher ROI. So every time there's competition for dollar at the CMO level or at the alliance level, I would posit that these are actually at a much higher return on investment. Okay, this is the last one. Now, when you think of, we talked about joint selling, we talked about joint marketing, but what are we doing together? These are joint solutions that we are taking to market and then selling, right? Coming backwards. So at the heart, at the root of it, especially with strategic alliances, is a joint solution. Whether it's an NetApp FlexPod or HANA powered by Intel, or the lights out finance where SAP and Deloitte are working and taking a solution to market. At the end of the day, it's about a joint value proposition to a shared customer. Now, what is this joint solution? And today, when you think of a joint solution, most companies think of this as a keynote announcement that they will make. A big keynote is going to happen at our annual conference. And Gamiel talked a little bit about scars there. I don't know, I have made tons of keynote announcements. And if all of us are honest in the room, I would say at least 80% have failed, right? Is that fair? 90? It's a rare alliance that actually succeeds, or it's a rare solution that really breaks through. And the idea is that the amount of effort people actually take to plan this, to get the plan approved from the board, make commitments and things like that, a lot of effort goes in there. But once an announcement is done, there is no real plan to operationalize it. Put people in charge, set goals, ask for nominations of opportunities for a given solution, track enablement of different sales forces on both sides, update the content as you learn and launch the solution in the market. Imagine the rigor that is required there. You do this rigor on your own sales force and with your own marketing, but fail to do it across companies. I think if there was a system that naturally does that, that will be huge. And I think this whole cycle around solutions needs a place on the network, if you will. And imagine a network where companies have these joint solutions, the enablement content is right there, and the wins that are coming in as part of this solution is automatically tracked and updated. So as a solution manager, you would know on a given quarter or a given year, did the solution work or not? And if it did not, you could course correct. And oftentimes we do postmortems around, hey, that launch didn't work or that partnership didn't work out. I think if people know in quarter or ahead of the year, they can actually put in corrective measures. Often solutions go wrong, not necessarily in the technology, but in the go-to-market. For example, it could be pricing. It could be a partnership situation in a region. Navigating those things are not easy. And something like this on WorkSpan as a joint solution would be huge. Anyway, I covered these three big automation areas. It's our distinct pleasure and joy that we see the alliance professional as our core audience. Alliance professionals have lived on borrowed tools for a long time from sales and marketing, but now we see we see the role that you play in companies to drive revenue through the roof, and the significant role that you play in growth. So WorkSpan's entire focus is on alliance, and the idea that alliance professionals can be exponential in their growth and exponential in their reach using WorkSpan is what we aim for. So with that, we want to invite Ray Homan from SAP and Andrew Higashi from WorkSpan. So I talked about the joint solutions and joint sales use case. Ray is actually a practitioner who has worked on these use cases with us. And Andrew is our VP of Sales.